We're going to see three speakers today who will each talk for around 30 minutes each. If you can hold your questions until after they've spoken, at the end of each sort of mini session we'll do a Q&A, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And sort of without further ado, let's find out why we're here today. So perhaps slightly unexpectedly, Al Gore is going to lead us in today. Some of you may remember 10, 15 years ago, Al Gore put together a film effectively to try and wake up the world to the realities of climate change. All of the data was there, staring us in the face, but lots of people wanted to effectively ignore the data, and it was a time of really trying to remind us all that we needed to pay attention to the data and wake up to our new reality and change our behaviour accordingly. You could argue life science marketing is in a similar place right now. So we're going to go from an inconvenient truth to perhaps 5 inconvenient truths that we're going to go through today, or convenient truths, depending on how you look at it. Truth number 1 is that how people find and buy products and services today has changed significantly from how things worked in the past. So many of you might know this rather famous image of St. Peter's Square at the Vatican from when the Pope was elected in 2005. Everybody's staring forward and paying attention intently. Fast forward to 2013 and everybody's experienced the same thing through their mobile device. And so effectively, worldwide and easy internet access, especially in the Western world, and mobile technology, computers in our pockets, has really changed the world that we live in. Everywhere we go, everything we do, we have access to the world's information at the touch of a button. So what does that mean for buying and selling? Well, depending on which source you go to, anywhere from 57 to 90% of the buying journey is now done by the prospect on their own terms. It used to be that the sellers held all the information, the buyers had to try and get that information from them. Imagine the classic example of when you go to buy a car. 20 years ago you'd go in, you didn't know how much things should cost, you didn't know what the pros and cons of different models were, the salespeople had all that information. Now that information is all available online, and this puts the buyers in control of the sales conversation. And this significantly changes how we need to market to prospects to capture their attention. If we look at the traditional tactics that we've always used, interruptive cold calling, for example, is getting less and less effective. 1% of cold calls end with a follow-up. Only 28% of cold calls ever get past the word hello. If you ask 9 out of 10 B2B decision makers, they ignore cold calls, and it takes salespeople on average 18 attempts to reach a B2B prospect. What does this tell us? This doesn't work anymore. It costs a lot of money and it's not delivering the return on investment. And even if we move away from sort of direct selling and more into the worlds of marketing, what we see is a number of our other tried and tested tactics, they're not working as well as they used to either. So if we look at open rates and click-through rates on outbound sort of cold emails, as it were, even to highly targeted lists, if your open rates when you're doing email blasts are above 20%, you're doing well at this point, and click-through rates drifting down towards 2% even. So cold email's not even working like it used to. And perhaps the most shocking is if you look at banner ad click-through rates, people just simply don't click on them anymore. Look at this click-through rate on the left here, below 0.1%, down to 0.05% at this point. If you're relying on banner ads to drive leads, you're going to be disappointed. That doesn't mean it's not good for brand awareness and other important marketing activities that we would do, but not for lead generation. So what are people doing instead? Well, this is a market research report from Bioinformatics done in 2014, so I suspect this is even more pronounced now. Scientists are using the web to gather information first and foremost when they want to buy a new technology, a new product, or use a new service. In fact, that is their primary tool of choice, is to go straight to Google. As you might expect for the scientific buyer, very detail-oriented. They're using long-tail searches with a number of keywords. They can zero right in on the things that they want. And so effectively what we need to start doing is producing quality content that's optimized for search engines if we want to attract these buyers in. So the old tactics, they don't work anymore, and the behaviour of buyers, and this isn't just B2C, this isn't B2B industries outside of the life sciences, this is life science buyers, and this is how they buy things. Truth number 2 is that tracking performance and demonstrating return on investment are more important than they have ever been. So a study done by Duke University in 2015 looking at CMOs asked them, do they feel under pressure from the board or the senior marketing team to prove the value of what they're doing? And the answer was 2/3 of them, very much so. And when they asked whether that pressure was sort of growing, again, the overwhelming answer was yes. They were being expected to demonstrate the value of all of their marketing activities. And if we look at a recent report from HubSpot published a couple of weeks ago, you can see that when marketers were asked to rank what they felt their biggest challenges were, proving the ROI of their activities comes second only to generating traffic and leads. And we're seeing this in the life science industry. We're seeing that life science marketing teams are now being asked to demonstrate the return on investment of all of the activities that they're doing. They're being asked to generate leads. They're being asked to show the cost per lead, the cost per customer. They're expected to do more with less, because often this is all at the same time as budgets are being cut. So it's a challenging time for life science marketers. It's made more challenging by the fact that within this explosion of marketing channels that we exist now, an integrated approach to marketing is essential for success. And what that means is that modern marketers have got to be multi-skilled. They've got to be strong in the areas of strategy and defining their brand messaging and positioning, identifying who their buyer personas are and going after them with appropriate tactics. They need to be strong in analytics so that they can use the data that they're gathering from modern intelligence tools to optimize their marketing programs. They need to be upskilled in modern new marketing methods like inbound marketing that we're going to speak about today. And that combines multiple elements like social media marketing, email marketing, PR, content generation across multiple formats, search engine optimization, and all of this wrapped up in impactful, creative, professional-looking materials that are on brand and on message. As you can imagine, it's pretty hard for the modern marketer to embody all of these skills. And so actually, in order to be able to do this, we're seeing the formation of multidisciplinary teams that can combine all this expertise, or in our case, outsourcing to an expert agency that can also bring some of these skills to your marketing team. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually quite an exciting time. And the reason is improving technology is giving us new data-driven insights into our marketing activities, and it's helping to improve efficiency. So even though we're expected to do more with less, we now are starting to develop the tools that we need in order to be able to do that. One example is marketing automation, by which you might set up a lead nurturing program for a new prospect that comes in at the top of the sales funnel, coaching them through your sales process without having to do it manually, which saves time, resource, money. But also companies are leveraging these tools in clever ways. For example, using things like lead scoring to make sure that only the hottest leads are automatically sent through to the sales team. So again, this is saving time, and it's allowing salespeople to focus on the hot leads that they're most likely to close, rather than having to do lots of outbound lead generation or cold calling of their own. And actually focusing on lead scoring for just a second, lead scoring, the way that it's done is evolving very quickly. And at this point, actually, software tools are available that allow you to look at your sales and marketing funnel and really figure out who are the hot prospects based on data, not gut feel for who we think is a good lead and isn't, but actually looking back at which leads have converted into customers, which channels did they come from, what content did they interact with, what type of sales process did we go through. We can use all that information to inform us as to who the best leads are to sell to. And obviously linked to that is more sophisticated attribution reporting. You can see on the left here that the typical customer journey is now even more complicated than it has been in the past, with multiple touch points that are hard to track. But software is catching up. It's allowing us to really see which touch points we had with a customer and which of those were the most important for pushing them through to sale. Truth number 5 is, even in the face of all these challenges, you can get better results. but you are going to need to move quickly. We know that inbound gets results because the early adopters that jumped in and 5-10 years ago and started using this approach were generating return on investment very quickly. And even in 2017, when they were asked, and this is from the HubSpot survey that polled CMOs across the world and also other marketing and sales professionals, where do you get your highest return on investment? It's from inbound practices. Where do you get your best quality leads? It's from inbound practices. So we know that inbound works. And actually, even if we take a look at the life science sector, which, to be honest, sometimes slower to adopt these new marketing and sales tactics, we're starting to see it more in the life science industry. And one of our specialisms at Biostrata is PR, so as you'd imagine, we're signed up to all the subscription lists for all the possible trade media publications. This is a handful of emailers that I pulled out over just the last week or two, and you can see companies moving away from buy my product and instead towards content-rich promotions designed to attract more leads by targeting them much earlier in the sales process, much earlier in their buying journey. So companies are getting in on this, and they are starting to do it. And so the early adoption phase is gone. That means the opportunity is diminishing. Now is the time to get in on this and make sure that you are the respected niche provider in your market. And actually, if you look at how companies that piloted inbound over the last 5+ years, where they're moving, they're beyond lead generation at this point. Inbound marketing is fantastic for raising awareness and generating leads, and they know that. When they were asked what their biggest challenge is going to be in the future, it was not lead generation. Their biggest challenge was how do we convert these leads into customers? So the people who are piloting this, they don't worry about lead gen anymore, they've got it sorted. But what we all care about is getting customers and getting revenue. And so ultimately, the next big challenge is going to be how we effectively nurture these leads into customers. So I've mentioned a number of challenges today. We love challenges because whatever's challenging for us in this room is also challenging for everybody else. And if it's challenging for everybody else, but that we have the knowledge and we have the bravery almost to really give these new marketing methods a go, that challenge becomes an opportunity because this allows us to outcompete our competitors who don't know about this and who are not taking steps to evolve their marketing practices. So, in the current landscape, how do we get ahead? That's the most important question. So what we've done today is we've amassed 3 expert speakers on this topic who are going to give us some insights into what we can do to get ahead of the market. First of all, we're going to hear from Chris Rooney at HubSpot about the what, why, and how of inbound marketing, the real nuts and bolts of what inbound marketing is and why it can be effective for your business and team. Then we're going to hear from Craig, who's an inbound expert at Biostrata, who's going to take us through how to run the perfect inbound campaign, how to set yourself up for success. And then finally, we're going to hear from Jim Reagan at Actuate, who is an expert in inbound himself, really a pioneer of inbound in the life science sector, and is going to show us a case study of how Actuate, which is a CRO, have leveraged inbound to get really quite incredible results. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Chris.